It's Wisbona.
Awesome. All right. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Casey Everett. I'm the co-president of Board Fellows. Some other Board Fellows members on our exec team that are on the call are Celeste Diaz. She's also co-president. And then we have Joshua Albert, who is a vice president of finance. Thank you to everyone that was able to join today. And then to those watching the video afterwards, thank you. So we're going to be going over our Board Fellows partner training. Shouldn't be too long this morning, just going over how to set expectations for the year. And we have some exciting changes going on and happening in our program that we think is going to be a major benefit for not only our students, but for the partners as well. So jumping right into it. So the purpose of Board Fellows. So we are a group of students and we provide talented and committed graduate business students to work essentially pro bono with business leaders and nonprofits in the community. Our goal is to deepen our knowledge of board management and nonprofits, and then using our MBA skills to kind of help enhance and bring those forward with us. So for a lot of us, this is our first time working with nonprofits. It's a lot of our first times working with different boards. So it's a great opportunity for us to have this exposure early in our careers so that we could hopefully use all the skills that we're learning to move forward and continue to contribute to our communities post MBA. So a little bit about Board Fellows. So it started in 2013 by Macomb students to try to connect with the Austin community. Like I said, we place our students as non-voting board members for a year. We'll go into this a little bit deeper, but it is a calendar year program. And so you'll get your first years really hitting the ground running in January. This is our largest fellowship program at Macombs. We had actually so many students apply this year, and we didn't have the same number of nonprofits to match the number of students. So we actually had to turn a few students away. With that being said, some of the things that we're working on, which we'll touch on a little bit later, is to continue to really expand and bring more nonprofits in so that we hit a day where we have the most attendance and we don't have to turn anyone away. It is a competitive application and interview process. So we want to make sure that you guys are given students that, one, are dedicated to the program. They want to be doing the work. They're not just doing this for a resume booster or something to talk about. We want to find students that are really passionate about doing this work. So some of our interview questions are, rank your top three nonprofits that align to your interests or what skills you're hoping to bring. And we make them explain to us in an essay form and in person why they're picking those nonprofits and what they think that they could bring forward. So our goal is to really align students to your organization that are really passionate about working with you for the summer. We found, doing that method just will create better relationships moving forward. Um, and then our program, it's our MBA students, but we also have MBA lawyers, MBA accountants, MBA doctors doing dual degrees that want to have this experience as well. So you can have a wide variety of students working with you for the upcoming year. So some benefits for our partners here is obviously our project work. So this is essentially pro bono work. You'll have an MBA mind doing strategic high level insights. You have that outside mind that's not really seeing everything going on. Hopefully that can maybe come in, provide some fresh ideas, working with future leaders. So us in this program, we're joining because we're passionate about this. And like for me, my long-term goal is to start my own nonprofit. So you're having people in our program that so many have said that same thing. There's a first year right now who actually started his own nonprofit earlier this year and is in board fellows. So we're really creating this community and this reputation here at Macombs that this program is something that can help people achieve these goals, and that is an incredible opportunity of a career that you can pursue like with an MBA. So really excited about that. As our partners, you have access to our Macombs network. So we have a lot of changes coming up. There's going to be a lot more involvement from the Macomb School and faculty moving forward that you will also have access to. which is going to be a really exciting change. At our Board Fellows Winter Showcase, which we'll touch on again later, we're going to have leaders from McCombs there across different departments. And, we'll be having a network session where you can go meet with our, professor of investing and philanthropy. And then, we have an incredible professor who's on the call right now who operates Wonders and Worries. So we have a really robust McCombs alumni here that you are more than welcome to be engaging with. And then recruitment. A lot of current second years, my classmates are like, okay, we're graduating, but I want to stay on with this nonprofit. I want to continue either volunteering or finding a way to give back. And so you have that, opportunity for recruitment if you think that some of us would be members that you would want to take forward post MBA. Okay, so now here are some of the expectations and guidelines to try to make this the most beneficial program for everyone involved. So for the nonprofit partners, a big thing is, honestly, the most important thing is the establishing the point of contact. So I'm just going to kind of go over some of the trends that we saw with some people this past year was there were some leadership changes where the points of contact that our board fellows had, either that person moved to a different role or left the organization, and our board fellows were just struggling to find a person to connect with to continue on with the project they're working on. So just making sure that there's a clear point of contact that the board fellows know, okay, this is who I'm working with. And if that person is to change for whatever reason, that there's a contingency plan in place and other ways that board fellows can continue to maintain contact with the organization. Invite board fellows to attend board meetings as non-voting members. So there's an MOU we'll touch on in a few slides, but essentially lay out, this is generally our meetings, and they're going to be the third Thursday of every month from 10 to 12. Please come. And our students, we make it a point to have them attend these board meetings. Sometimes there are school functions that do arise where they have to pick school over the meeting, but we really try to incentivize all of our students to go to as many board meetings as possible. We serve as non-voting members, and that can look different for every nonprofit. And I encourage you to do what works best for your organization and just communicate with the board fellows. So I would attend board meetings and I would be essentially an observer in the background. So I'd take notes. Okay, this is how the minutes work. These are how people are communicating. And then and for some other organizations, they have their board fellow members sitting at the table with them and asking for their advice and their input during the board meetings. So just take your board fellows in and let them know what your expectations are for them during the meeting. That way they know what their point of contribution is and whether or not they should, where they should be seating, all of that. It's a new environment and each nonprofit's different. Introduce us to your board and to people that we'll be working with. So if that's emails, phone calls, Teams meetings, in person, let the board fellows meet who they're going to be working with so that they can understand, what they're doing. If there's an event that your organization is doing that we can be a part of to really learn and understand the inner workings, invite us to these volunteer sessions. Our goal is to try to be as actively involved. So a way that we try to codify all of these is a memorandum of understanding. And there's a shell that the students are provided where they'll fill it out, essentially stating, we will contribute X, Y, and Z, and I'll go over what they're supposed to do on the next slide for you. But really, this is for you. You can input what you want into the memorandum of understanding as well. So if you state, please come to these board meetings, this is our schedule, we would like for you to sit at the table and contribute. You kind of list that all out so that they have this understanding. And it's really just a way to protect both parties to make sure that there is that shared understanding. And then within that, outlining the project scope. So we want to make sure that when our board fellows come, even if you're still like working through like, okay, we have 3 or 4 projects, which one do you think, your skill set will best be able to suit? have those conversations and then list that in the memorandum of understanding. Like, okay, we really want you to do a fundraising finance project for us. And then kind of list that out. And that way the students have like very clear understanding and they know what they're going to be delivering for you. And yet, just communicate regularly. If there are issues, if something's going on where you're having an issue with your current board fellows that are working with you, we'll be announcing who the next leadership is during the winter showcase, and we'll also make sure that you're all aware. Our goal for the leadership teams are to also be there to communicate with you and be a bridge in case there is some type of communication breakdown or something going on within the students' participation. So please use the resources. And our goal is to make this the most beneficial experience for you. So definitely reach out as the year goes on. So for our board fellows, so our students are to work collaboratively for about 10 hours per month for meetings and projects. So there'll be either 2 or 3 students for each nonprofit. Right now, our program is still doing the calendar year, excluding the summer internship period. So during those 3 months in the summer, June, July, August, a little bit of May. It kind of depends when the students' internships are. We did hear and read all of your feedback about that being a troubling period of having no contact with the board fellows during the summer and then picking back up to start the project. So I do want to let everyone know that we did read that feedback and we are trying to come up with a contingency plan or a different plan moving forward so that it's not such a stark, work, we're gone, and then work again. With that being said, a lot of times our summer internships, the students are working, 80-hour weeks, traveling nonstop. So we're working to meet with faculty members and our own board members within Board Fellows to try to come up with a more cohesive way to run the program. Our students will attend the board meetings, work on that project, communicate, and then we present our projects and our findings at our winter showcase. So we'll go over that in a little bit, but essentially our summer in our board fellows, not our summer, excuse me, our board fellows program concludes in December for the years group that you're working with currently. Okay, so this is the really fun stuff that we get to talk about now. So I cannot take any credit for this. These were the executive team before we took over. They applied for us to be a Golub Capital partner. And so what this means for board fellows is over the next 5 years, we will be receiving $1.25 million in a grant to enhance this program. And so what this looks like is we are now going to have a faculty member coming on board to train, lead, mentor students, and serve as a liaison with partners. So right now it's been just very student-led. And so we're going to be able to have a faculty member who has an extensive nonprofit background and has these skills, tools to be able to better serve our students to help them, move along as they're going through their projects and also work with the partners to make sure that everyone's getting the most benefit out of the program. We are going to be able to be offering financial awards for partners. So this is something that we're really excited. The Golub Foundation is really wants to give back to the nonprofits that are partnering. So if there is exceptional mentorship, if the students are coming by and, reporting, and we'll do different types of awards, that we'll be able to give out thousands of dollars to the nonprofits that are working with our organization. So in case you needed a little bit more of an incentive to stay a great partner, there is now some great money involved. And then we have some scholarship opportunities for our students. So whether that's going to be a scholarship for their work during the summer or during the school year. And then if certain students want to continue really working with their nonprofit over the summer, whereas normal MBA internships, you do receive a salary if they were to try to do something with the nonprofit. A lot of times that doesn't come with a salary. So we would do some type of scholarships to allow students that really want to pursue nonprofits for their summer internship to be able to do so. We're hoping to have a lot more events to bring the community together. Yes, we have the winter showcase now, but with this grant, we'll be able to bring the community together in a greater way. An exciting opportunity is in April of 2026, the Goal Up Capital, they have a massive symposium. It's in Chicago. It's generally always in Chicago, but the students and partners are invited to go. And it's 3 days, and it's essentially subject matter experts of nonprofits and boards coming together. So what the Goal Up Foundation is, we are one of 15 schools that receives this grant money. And their entire purpose with this money is to grow and expand the Board Fellows program. So it's something that we're going to be able to take and move forward. And, we're joining, the top 15 MBA programs in the nation. So we also have that network, which is incredible. So we're really excited that we get to do this moving forward. And we do believe that some members from the Goal Up Capital will be at our winter showcase. We're inviting as many as possible so that we can really, bring that relationship forward. Okay, and then just some best practices. So what makes a great partner? So really taking that time to develop the fellows. So like I said, a lot of times this is our first exposure to this type of environment. And a lot of times, we come from different backgrounds where, we have unlimited money and unlimited resources. And in the nonprofit world, that's not always the case. So taking that time to really explain to your students who just might not have that exposure, being like, okay, these are our constraints, these are our limitations, this is where we really excel at, and just making sure they have the best understanding. So that way the recommendations, the things that they're suggesting are realistic and within the scope of the nonprofit. So just really any type of development, mentorship is great. The strong project management and communication skills. So even if you assign a project in January and you think this is going to be the great project and something changes, like we can all pivot, right? Like and that's what happens in life. So just kind of communicating to the students, like, I appreciate what you've been doing, but based off of XYZ circumstance, we now need to pivot in this direction, and just having that communication to make sure that you're getting the best results from our nonprofits. If there are any major challenges, so this past year we had quite a few challenges from some of our partners, whether the nonprofits actually dissolved during the academic year, a lot of key leadership had to leave for different reasons. Just communicate with the exec team, because we want to make sure that our fellows, have a great opportunity as well. So for an example of, we had one nonprofit that dissolved, we were able to take those students and kind of split them into different teams and join different nonprofits as a group of 3 that really could have used a little bit extra legwork. So we want to make sure that our students are all able to stay, within the program, even if there is an issue with the nonprofit. And then just the last thing is, with all the changing environments going on, just that communication and making sure that, we could all move forward in the best way. So some of the strategic project guidelines. So this can be really broken up into the way that best suits your nonprofit. So if there's a one initiative that you really want, and let's say it's, okay, I want you to build out a complete fundraising program for an event that we're having in October of next year. Like, you can have a singular project. You can have one that's in the spring and in the fall. You can have ones that are kind of sprinkled throughout, because sometimes you'll be impressed that our students might finish something a little bit sooner and they'll be ready to tackle another challenge. So just really outlining kind of what the scope is. And like I said, these are what we're looking for, MBA level projects. So, the example that we give our students is, we want you to be doing something that, you're taking forward what you're learning in classes. We don't want you handing out flyers as your project. If you're handing out flyers as you're volunteering outside of, what you're doing for your project, that's amazing. A lot of our students do volunteer with the nonprofits they work with outside of doing their board fellows work. But really just making sure that that project is something that you're best using the talents that we can provide for you. And then, like I said, if things change and adapt, the memory of understanding can be a living document. So this can be something that can be updated, re-signed, revisited after the summer, whatever works best for your organization. So best practices are setting up sync calls with your students. So like I said, since this is our first exposure to a lot of these things, we might run down a path doing an idea that we think is brilliant, but you know your organization obviously a lot better than we do. And if it's not realistic for what, the nonprofit is, like having those sync meetings to make sure everyone's moving on the right track is really important. If you have any specific monthly, quarterly deliverables, even if it's just an email of, okay, just so you know, this is what we've done and this is what we plan to do, and just making sure that everyone is going in the right direction. And then with this being said, so sometimes we do have a flux of our MBA timelines where October might be just the craziest month in the whole year. And there's a ton of recruiting events, a ton of things going on, and it's really hard for them to attend a meeting that week. And so just kind of working with our students, knowing that um, we need to maintain our, what we're doing within school, but also be working with the projects. And then this is just some examples of some projects at the bottom. During our winter showcase, you'll see the projects displayed that the students have worked on, so you could really get a good concept of all the different organizations there and the different projects that were being done. Okay, so here is just a brief timeline. So our board fellows for first years, we have 48 first years that have joined the organization, and we have 20 partners. So the students have all already been notified. They've all accepted. They're extremely excited. On Monday, we're hosting a training with the first years to go over everything that we expect of them. We've had info sessions, so they are tracking all of this before they apply, but really now we'll dive into it. We'll connect them with our second years that worked with the same nonprofits they did, if there was, if it wasn't a new partner. If you are a new partner, we're going to take the students during their training and kind of align them with the second years that did a similar type project. That way they still have second years that they can reach out to for advice, even though you are or maybe a new partner in the program. So the students will be back on campus after winter holiday on January 12th. So that's when they'll kind of begin getting the ground running. We give you guys some time to get those MOUs set up. So do about mid-February timeframe. That way you can have the communications, meet the students, understand the direction that you want to go moving forward. The students will be on spring break from March 9th to 20th. And a lot of times our program, MBA program, requires students to do an international abroad trip. So a lot of the first years will be out of the country during this time frame. So just know if you do happen to have a board meeting during that period that the students may or may not be able to go, and most likely will not be able to attend during that time frame. The summer break, May to July, like I said, once we have this new faculty member, they're in the hiring process right now, making sure everything's squared away, and hopefully we'll be able to announce our faculty member soon. We'll be working with them to try to come up with a better continuation plan over the summer. Classes begin back in August, and then our winter showcase, or culminating event, is always early December. Okay, and here is the last slide. So our winter showcase. So we would love for you all to attend our winter showcase. Please invite anyone on your board to come. This is really not just, the two people that worked with the partners. We want this to be a networking session, meet everyone, learn about us. So please feel free to invite anyone in your organization that you think would benefit from this opportunity. We're going to have food, we're going to have drinks, we're going to have our very generous donors at this program. So We are going to be spotlighting an awesome nonprofit this year. Really excited to for everyone to kind of learn what they do and some of the stuff they worked on this past year. And yeah, it's just a great opportunity to close out. The first years will also be there. So you'll have the opportunity to meet the students that will be joining the team starting in January. So if you haven't RSVP'd yet, you can find the link in the emails that we've sent out. There's a QR code right there. We can't wait to celebrate the past year with you all. That is the last slide. So I'm gonna pause right now, see if there's any questions, anything that I can answer. Okay, see Eric has your hand up. Go ahead.
Hi, Casey. I'm with Odyssey School. We're new to the program. You were making a lot of differentiations in your conversation between first year and second year, but I don't really understand it. Like, is it usual for like a second year student to come back and do a second year intern with the same organization? So, okay, if you can unwrap that a little bit for us new folks, that'd be cool.
Of course, yes. So the MBA program is a total of 2 years. So we have our first years, which are new students, and then second years are what I am, the students that will be graduating in May. And so the way that the program works is because it starts in January when you're still a first year, and then it picks back up when you're a second year to finish out. So right now, us as the second years who are working with the partners are going to be mentoring the first years who will begin in January. Awesome. Any other questions? Yes, so there is just one cohort per class. So it is once our students graduate, we move on to wherever we go within corporate America or starting our own businesses, joining other nonprofits. So you will have the same students, 2 students or 3 students for that entire board fellows journey. Yeah, go ahead.
I went to Baylor because I did not get into the Cubs, so GMAT, I guess, wasn't quite good enough for my essay. Am I able to share this video with my board?
Yes. Yes, feel free to share this video.
Great. And then we had submitted an application. I had done that, but I want to revisit it. Is it possible to get a copy of that application? I remember the broad scope. I just don't really remember like the 6 deliverables that I had submitted. And so I'm wondering if you guys could, as that's what I said to you, I just want to make sure that we're kind of sticking to it.
So you're coming in a little broken. Were you asking to see the application?
Sorry, AirPods.
Okay, much better.
Yeah, no, just when I submitted the application, and I think now I've got 2 fellows.
Yeah.
One of them is a wheelchair user. The other one is the partner thereof. But yeah, when I submitted the application, there were 6 deliverables, and I just want to make sure. I don't really remember what they are. I might want to tweak those, and I was just wondering if I could get a copy of that application.
Yes, of course. Okay. Great. Yeah, so we save all the survey results that we ask you guys throughout the year. So at any point, you just ping us, and I'll get that right back to you.
Sounds good. And when is it too soon to start collaborating now with my?
No, so the first years, they have been notified. They will probably are waiting. We have our training with them on Monday, so they probably haven't reached out yet unless they do have some personal ties, just because they wait for us to kind of give them, here's how to engage, here's how to reach out, and we kind of walk them through, this is how you form the relationship. So if you haven't been reached out to them, totally normal. I know your group, they've been a part of your organization in the past for different reasons. So no, now is honestly a great time. You won't really get them starting on a project, however, until January hits, just because right now for the the first years they'll be swamped for these next 3 weeks, and then January they take a big breather once they're done with the core classes. But no, definitely like set up those relationships. If you have an event going on, definitely invite them, definitely reach out. There's a really great group of students this year. Really excited.
Love it. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time today. You have our contact information through all of the many emails. I know I'll be sending out another blast probably the end of next week to push the winter showcase one more time. So if there's anything that you ever need, please don't hesitate to reach out. And we're really looking forward to all the positive changes. So thank you so much.
Casey, can I ask one more question?
Yeah, of course.
What nonprofit are you looking to start? What field?
So I am moving to Dallas post MBA, and I've never lived in Dallas. I don't really know the area. So what my current thoughts are is to kind of go around and see what's going on. I am a veteran, so I do kind of lean towards those communities, but I really love the idea of creating like a culture center within Dallas, bringing different groups of different backgrounds together because I grew up in a really diverse community in New York, and a lot of times you don't have those big diversity bubbles in Texas, from what at least my perspective was growing up in New York City. So trying to bring a little bit of that down here is kind of where I'm leaning.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing your personal journey and for taking the time to answer our questions. Looking forward to it.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
You.